we're having a place where you connect them with them. And then then you go and you're like creating with them. And so this is where I want to make sure we get into. So I'll come back on the connection stuff in just a bit. We and you can walk through that part in a little bit. But I know that you have a certain thing that you do. They're called. Do you mind if I say the name of what you call them here?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, cool. So you have a thing that's called transformation tables, right? And so for walking us through, you connect with someone, you invite them to a transformation table. The transformation table has somewhere between 1 and 4 members that could be attending that individual session. And then you have a follow-up one-on-one call with them, and then there's proposals that come from there. Is that generally the flow?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, cool. So we're going to come back. The reason I'm coming back to the connection part is that there's going to be many, many, many different ways that you might choose to connect. So I want to make sure we're building that one out properly or more
Mhm.
robustly, but we can do like the transformation and one-on-one stuff pretty quickly. All right.
Perfect.
All right, cool. So we have the transformation tables here, right? So we're going to be looking at this part. And what we want to know is to know, um, so like, when did they schedule and when did they show? All right. And then it's basically with almost every one of these things. I used to have another S word. It was like schedule, close, schedule, show, and summit or something like that. But it essentially just ends up being your schedule, close, schedule, show, and close, right? Or like I don't know. There's another word that does. I don't love the feeling of close, but it's essentially did they move on to the next step, right? And so we have that over here with the. I'm going to pull up the merging cells. We have that here with the transformation tables. And the goal here is to say, okay, how many people did like scheduled it? How many people showed up and how many closed? And we'll do this since we're doing this on an individual basis. We'll do it on like based on for them when did they do each of these things? Oh, it's so funny. I haven't used this in a while. Anything coming for you right now?
Is the show and close, are those like yes, nos, or would you put a date there as well?
Yeah, I think for the way we're gonna build this, we'll do it with a date. So, and I'll show you why when we get to the dashboard. But it will help give us a chance to be able to see, like, okay, this is what's actually happening with everything, you know.
Cool.
So let me just do this here. We'll add a little bit of a border. Okay, I don't know where the borders are, but pretend there's a pretend there's a border around this whole thing right now. All right, here
It's
we
yeah.
go. Here we go. All right. So we'll do this here, and I'm sure I can put some inner borders too, but that's less important right now from what we're trying to get done. All right. So we have the transformation table area, and then right afterwards, we're gonna transformation tables. We'll try it again, and then right afterwards, we'll put this should be like the one-on-one follow-up. And then over here, then afterwards will just be um, the one-on-one. Like I might add in here like a proposal to one because
Mhm.
it's all been here. Um, that close would be like yes or no, and then we'll also have in here like um, just to keep it simple. What we'll look at is the client package, right? We'll look at the total amount. We want to know how much the amount proposed, the amount like they actually agreed to. So I would say cash collected and cash deferred, right? So there may be some other things we might come and put in here, but I think this is going to give us a good start here, just to be able to run through the process, right?
And the
So
difference between cash collected and cash deferred, like if it's a pay in full versus payment plan.
yeah, so what I would say is like the cash collected is how much did you actually receive when they said yes, and then the cash deferred is how much can you expect later on. So yeah, yeah. So if you're like it's $1,000 today and $1,000 a month for 9 months, it might be okay. Cash collected was $1,000. Cash deferred was 9,000. You saw that, or if they pay like the whole thing, or you can pay 8 grand today and be done. And it's like, great, cash collected was 8 grand, right? Now that's going to be different because um, otherwise it would be like, it's a $10,000 package, but like you didn't actually get $10,000 right away. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then that then helps you be able to know how your cash flow is looking and so on and so forth. And we can have other tools to be able to break that down even further. Okay.
Cool.
All right, cool. So this is really around like the let's just call this the offer for now. Okay. And I did this in the wrong order. All right, cool. So now, like the reason we did this is that like we can now look through it and kind of just go through and say like, okay, here goes the process that someone uses when they join, right? And then you can have either you can do this in a spreadsheet, you can do this in any tool that's out there, like a pipeline tool or something, just to be able to follow through with it. But now you're gonna have to get some information along the way as to like, okay, what does it look like for them, right? And I'm choosing for us to use dates because if we do dates, then we can also kind of have like some like admin stuff on the other side or some calculations. If we wanted to know like, you know, this would be like the show percentage, like there's things you do on like an aggregate basis, but there's things like you can do. It's like number of days between schedule and then close in, number of days between one and the other, right? So you can do this and start to get a better sense as to what happens. And then as time goes on, this gives you a chance to have more data to go through and be like, oh, actually, it turns out that I found this with me. Like, I'm going to come back and talk to you all right now for a little bit. But I found this with me where it's like, when I did this in the past, and I would come to find out that there was this is what I want to do. Here we go. I would come to find out that when I was like really lax, I'm like, yeah, let's just have a follow up call. If that call happened like after 10 days, like after like a week after we had scheduled it, the chances of them becoming a client went down like significantly. But if we were able to have the call on the calendar for the next 4 to 7 days, or even sooner after that, I recognized that of the people who were saying yes, we actually there was a disproportionate amount of people who were meeting on a like pretty quickly afterwards, right? Now that this might have been like their own intention, but afterwards that gave me a chance to be able to look back and say like it isn't just the fact that we got on the calendar. It was like we got on the calendar and we kept the momentum going. All right. And so there'll be other things that we find out along the way, but like by the reason I'm choosing to do this with dates and everything like that is so that we can see like, okay, how is each step moving along the way? Right. And then we'll go, I think we'll have time for me to like build out this first part of here. We'll get to the connection part in a bit, but I think it'd be cool to bring in some of like the dashboard stuff. I might regret trying to build in real time, like some formulas I haven't seen in in a while, like count if this date what, so maybe not, but do want to give like the high level of it all. All right. All right, cool. So let's go back to this. Let's give it a little bit more time. All right. So we can have here. I know. Why don't we just do something really simple where we just have like for now we have like all right, and we can get into like the details of all these things in a little bit. But it's like all right, did we connect with them? What day did we initially connect with them? This happened on the 26th of November, so I use that as a date. What was the source? Let's just say you met them through Facebook. We can get more specific about that later on. I would probably end up having like an inputs, like a table thing where I can do like a drop down in the future, so that I can it ends up being more regulated and consistent is what I'm looking for. And then follow up like we put the day on. What day did we follow up? We might have multiple follow ups if you wanted to have like 6 or 7 touch points, right? Or whatever the touch points you want. So you might say like, okay, yeah, we followed up on the 27th of 2025. For now, let's assume that's what we did, right? For schedule, show, and close, the way I would look at that probably is I would probably fit in. Um, let's just assume this happens like this started today and then everything happened and this all went down before the end of the year. So let's just populate it with something. Let's say we followed up on the 27th and they scheduled something on the 27th that day. So we have that. going through. They were very interested in doing this, so they scheduled it in 2 days. And then to me, the close on this one and this transformation table one for you is not about sales here. It could be about it, but it could also just be, did you invite them to the one-on-one? All right.
Mhm.
And so we might want to look at that as it goes along and be like, what exactly are we trying to get to? Are you making proposals on that? If so, then like where should proposal like how do we make sure we capture that properly? Like I would be looking to like, did they actually schedule and confirm that they are on for the one-on-one follow-up, which is going to be also here too. So while we're building this here, we're going to use it and then we're going to transform it to what it needs to be for what we need. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, cool. And the big thing is like once we make a decision, let's just be consistent with it. All right. So let's say they didn't end up buying on that. Let's say we decided to say close will only represent someone who came on the transformation table and that day said they were going to buy. All right. If not, we're going to capture the one-on-one stuff in the schedule. Right. You have the system that we put in place here with Outliers Edge where they schedule directly they schedule everything right off the bat. So they scheduled on the 27th for both the transformation table and the follow-up one-on-one. So they knew they were having a 2-session element, right? They scheduled for that follow-up one-on-one, let's say the 12th, let's say the 3rd of December. They showed up, that conversation went really well and like they were ready for the proposal, you made it for them, and then they took 24 hours and came back to you and said, I'm a yes. How does that feel? Does that feel like, before I go forward, if these like, I want to make sure this feels like it's actually going to be practical for you. So like, does this, like the way that I'm talking about it, the way that we're filling it in, does this feel natural? Does it feel practical? Does it feel like it's telling the story at all?
Yeah, I think it's really clear. And so the schedule is like the day that they actually scheduled their call. The
Yeah.
show is the date of their actual call. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. That's really useful.
And I would say like the show is the day that they actually showed up for a call. So let's say that they
Mhm.
scheduled, like the way that I'm building this right now, because what I'm thinking about is the dashboard later on and being like, okay, how many days between scheduling and show, like with that, you know what I'm saying? And then I can also go and say like, did they schedule or not? Right. Usually that's the thing. People put like an X here, like, yeah, they scheduled or not. But I'm like, if we put the date here, we can easily just do like if blank, then it's a no. If it's not blank, then they showed up, right? So this is the date that it happened. So they scheduled it on the 27th of November. They actually showed up on the 29th. If they went and rescheduled this 29th call and they didn't show up on it, you would then have deleted this and not put anything on until, let's say, December 1st, because that's when they were able to reschedule it for, right?
Mm.
And then you would know like, okay, they scheduled on the 27th, they actually showed up on this date, and there was no close. But you might see someone else that you come in, you're like, they scheduled on one day, they showed up on the same exact day, and they said, I'm ready to just move forward. And you're like, okay, great, I have that kind of information to know how their journey flowed. And then eventually, maybe once a quarter or for X number of people that go through, we review it and we say like, all right, like what are we finding? What are we seeing here? What's our 80/20 right now? And we continue to refine. And then my thing is just do it on purpose. It's like right now it's just gonna happen. We're gonna see what happens. We're doing it with intention, and we're being purposeful. But as we do it, we're gonna gain some more information and go from there. Okay. All right. How's this feeling for you?
Really good.
Okay. Cool. For the package, let's just say they just took on, for now, like we'll see like what we want this to represent, but they took on a one-on-one package. You made a proposal of, I'll just put in a number right now just because it like of 25K, and you collected 5K up front and 20,000 is going to be deferred, right? Um, there could also be just like you might get a point where it's like, hey, I proposed 30K, and then we ended up with another offer that ended up being 5K and 20K later, to make it work. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
All right, but for right now, let's say like this is all in. Okay, so far so good.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yes.
Oh, I just erased the whole thing. So let's do this. We have that one person here, and then I will do the same thing plus 3 days on basically everything. All right. So what I'm hoping that this will give us here. Nope, I don't want to. I pasted the wrong thing. That wasn't helpful, yeah. All right. I don't have shortcuts on this, so I don't know how to.
If you take the blue square on the
Yeah,
bottom and then drag it over.
yeah, it's the formatting. I'm such a formatting person. I'm like, I don't want my formatting to go away. I think it's just easier for me to just add it by 3. Honestly, like I promise you, y'all, this is not how I like to go about doing it. But let's just for the sake of time, let's go ahead and do it that way. All right. Let's see. I'm using some. Nope, it took the formatting with it. Yeah, so I knew what I was doing back in the day on how I can make everything come out exactly as I want it to be. So, but I also learned that sometimes you just got to brute force it quickly. So, I promise y'all, I got the skills. I promise. All right, let's just say referral. All right, so far so good.
Mm-hmm.
And we can just put in here like a group. 15K. And let's just say that they just paid the whole thing in full and they're 12K. All right. How's that sound to you? Like this, when you read through this, let me check in with you. One of the things I like to do, you're going to find my style is that like I might think I know what's going on, but I can't tell until someone can express it in their own words. So would you mind letting me know based on what you're seeing here, the journey of like potential 2?
Yeah, so we're tracking someone from when they come into my world, when the connection was, where they came from, if there was a follow up needed, which leads to did they schedule a transformation table, and we can track when did they schedule it, did they show up for it, and down the line being able to use those dates to find out other data like how much time between, things like that.
Yep.
Whether or not they said yes to any offers on the transformation table, or if it moves on to the one-to-one follow-up phase. And then similar, we're tracking when did they schedule their one-to-one, when was the day of it, and did they show up to their one-to-one? What was the proposal made? Were they closed that day? And then that leads into leaning into like, what is the offer? So which package are they being booked into, the money proposed, and the outcome of the money, whether it was
Yep.
collected, whether it was deferred.
Nice. All right, cool. And then, like, if you can, just so I know if this has clarity or not, can you walk me through potential number 2 in particular? Like, what was their journey? Like, what was the log for them?
Yeah. So they and I had a conversation on the 29th. They were a referral from someone already in my world. I followed up with them on the 30th, which is when they scheduled both their transformation table and their one-to-one call.
Cool.
And then on the 2nd is when they had their transformation table. They did not sign into any package that day. And then on the 6th, they had their one-to-one follow-up, which they did show up for. I gave them a proposal and 24 hours to either think on it or whatever the circumstance was. And they said yes on the 7th. They were booked into my group. The original proposal was for 15K. They paid in full, and so they got a bit of a discount at 12K.
Nice.